Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be 5 bad habits of good therapists. And what I mean by good therapists are probably many of you watching. I would say most of us as therapists are highly sensitive, really empathetic, really feeling, really kind, and very in tune with other people's emotions. And that can lend itself to a lot of people pleasing. We don't like to step on toes. We don't like to be mean. And we also have to deal with the added layer of knowing everything that's going on in our clients' lives. It can be hard at the end of a session if they have an overdue bill to say, hey, I just heard about all your financial stress, but you owe me $150, right? So stick with me. I think I might be calling some of you out. I know I'm calling my past self out in this video. So if you are new here, hello, my name is Allyssa Powers and I am an LPCCs. I have been a therapist in private practice for the past 7 years, and I am moving into the therapy education space where I am creating continuing education that is business focused to basically teach therapists what grad school didn't about owning and running a private practice, all while being affordable and providing continuing ed credits. So if that interests you, please hit subscribe, and even one step further, go to my website and check out all the things that are coming soon, what I'm offering. I have study guides, I have freebies, free checklists. It's a lot of fun over there. And if you have been following along and you have already signed up for my email list, I love you. So let's get right into it because my baby is asleep in the other room and we've got about 7 minutes to do this before he wakes up, if I even make it to the end of this video without having to hold him in my arms. So, number 1 bad habit that I see good therapists falling into is letting their sessions continually run over. So if you know anything about how a clinical hour works, it is typically 52 minutes. So that 52 minutes allots you just a sliver of time to maybe go to the bathroom, eat a little snack, and reset yourself. What I see good therapists falling into again and again is running over until the very last second because they want to give their client every ounce of their attention that they can, or maybe their client is in the middle of describing something that is really hard, or maybe they are just afraid to speak up, but it is bad self-care. And often what I see happening is that their next session starts late again and again and again. So it is just a really, really tricky habit because then your next client, most of us see clients right in a row on the hour. If your next client is being brought back to your office late every time or being called late on their video call every time, that gets old and is just not professional. So something you can do if you are in person with clients is you can start to stand up. And I know that sounds awkward to just start to stand up, but you need to do something physical to break their focus and kind of say like, okay, time is now up. And it can be addressed, of course, like, hey, we keep running right up to session. If you see me standing, this is what's going on. So that's one way. And then also a 5-minute reminder when there's a break in conversation to just say, hey, just know we only have X amount of time left. I'm going to have to go at this time. Here's like a summary of what we've worked on, or here's what we can pick up for next time. There are tactful ways to do this. I'm not saying that you just need to abruptly stop your sessions because that is not a good look either. Number 2 bad habit is another big people-pleasing one. If you have late fees, cancellation fees, any of that set into place at your agency or your private practice, you need to enforce it. You would not have a doctor's appointment with a doctor and just not show up and never address it, right? Like we have an expectation that if we miss an appointment, there is going to be some sort of financial repercussion, or maybe they have a policy where you can miss one, but on your second miss, you're charged a fee. I know for me, I usually gave one freebie of like, hey, I understand things happen, but I kept track. I kept track of that one late cancellation. And of course, if they gave me proper notice, 24 hours or more, then there's no fee involved. But I see this happen again and again, especially in private practice where your caseload's going to be smaller. So if you have 4 cancellations in a week, that's a huge part of your paycheck. So having that late cancel fee set into place is not only like a good thing to show your clients that you have boundaries that you enforce, because lots of our clients are working on boundaries and we want to be a good example to them, but also it's good self-care for you. You deserve to make a living wage and be paid even if your client does not show up. Clients have pushed back at me. I have had multiple clients become very, very angry earlier in my career when I was mainly working with kids on college campuses. I think they just honestly didn't understand how the world works, but that is number 2, and it's a big one. Okay, number 3 is validating all client thoughts. Yes, people come to therapy to be normalized and validated and empathized with, but not all thoughts need to be validated. I see this with therapists who want to give that unconditional positive regard, but they're giving it in kind of a misguided way. So say a client is dealing with obsessive compulsive thoughts and behaviors. If they're telling you that they have to check the doorknob 7 times to prevent a break-in at night, and you're validating that thought and saying like, yes, that makes sense, that's not unconditional positive regard. That's actually causing harm to your client. And I know that's like a very basic example and kind of a cliche of what OCD is, but I'm just trying to make a point that not all feelings are facts. And I see this also a lot with relationship dynamics. I personally worked with a lot of clients that were young adults and were dating, and they would just run into the same issues again and again with their partners. And eventually, as a therapist, you have to call out the pattern and say, hey, maybe you are the problem. Maybe it's not about validating every, scummy guy that comes along and saying, yeah, they're just trash. Like maybe your picker is broken, right? There's a million different scenarios, but I think as therapists, we want to be liked by our client in a way that we feel we can build up that bond is by constantly validating them, and it might not always be the right move. Now, number 4 is a little bit nuanced, but that is oversharing. I think self-disclosure has a place in the therapeutic relationship. So self-disclosure is just talking about yourself, maybe giving an anecdote of something similar that happened to you. Now, I personally would stray away from this in a lot of contexts. To me, sharing that the same thing happened to me can be very invalidating. For instance, my dad died of pancreatic cancer really, really suddenly. We're coming up on the 4-year anniversary, and that was a terrible experience, right? Like that was really sad for me. And I had multiple clients lose parents after I had had that experience. And while I might have said like, hey, I've also lost a parent, I didn't get into the details because it can feel very story topping, right? Like pancreatic cancer is the deadliest cancer. He died within 3 months. Like it was really, I feel like I could have topped a lot of the stories that were happening. And that is not helpful to your client, and they are having their own experience. And while it might be good to say like, hey, I've walked this path as well, I think doing that in a vague way can be the most helpful. So of course, you learn this in grad school, hopefully. Self-disclosure can be great, it can be harmful, it can be helpful, and it can really just depend on the client. Some people say like, that absolutely helped me so much, that like changed my relationship with my therapist and it really humanized them. Like, I don't believe in that blank page narrative. Like, I think that we come to the room with our personal experiences, and that is wonderful. But oversharing when you are a people pleaser and you want to be liked, watch yourself because it can be really, really dangerous. Okay, last one, number 5, is wanting to problem solve for our clients. I am a problem solver in my own life, and a lot of clients really want that problem solving, like co-creator kind of relationship with their therapist. I find especially male clients, maybe because this is stereotyping, but like less feeling, more like data-based, more like give me the science and I'll just do it so I can be done with therapy, because, there's a lot of nuances to being a male and being in therapy. But I will say that if you end up problem solving for your clients, what you're going to see happen again and again is that they're not going to take your advice, because change comes internally from us. So if you tell them, hey, I know how to solve your toxic relationship, you guys should break up, that's probably not going to happen. Or if it does, it might backfire on you. And they might say, hey, my therapist told me to do this, and look, it turned out awfully. So when you're problem solving, you need to come from the perspective of like walking alongside someone and really getting in tune with their values and what they care about. Because what you care about and what they care about might be two completely different things. And there are many, many ways to solve a problem, which I find really to be very fun about like the nuance of therapy. So I hear that my son has awakened from his nap, and it was perfect timing because I am done telling you these 5 bad habits. Will you let me know in the comments which one of these resonates? Are there any that I forgot? I want to know. I want to hear from you. I am trying to get on a more consistent posting schedule because now that my son's a little bit older, I'm getting slightly more time to myself to do these things. So that is good news over here. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.